Welcome back to part 2 of this discussion about how we can tackle immigration issues and how we can address them. So the first part was talking about what immigrants should do and how they should be great ambassadors every time they are representing themselves in the host country and the society. And also, if you haven't seen that video, there's a link somewhere up here that you can go and watch that video. When you start watching this video, you might be a bit skeptical and you might have your own views, but I request that you keep an open mind, because me and everyone else in the society is quite brainwashed and programmed to believe in a certain way. And my aim and effort in making these videos is to request people to think outside the box and outside the norms. What I'll do is I'll start this video off by telling you a story like I did in the previous video, and then see how you go from there and what you think. We all have unconscious bias, and even if you're a very open and liberal-minded person, it's very likely that you're brainwashed like everyone else in the society. So I'll tell you a story. The story goes, there's a father and a son who are driving on a country road. It's heavy rains and storms and the roads are very slippery. They're going somewhere, they have to get to a destination, it's in the middle of the night, there's a thunderstorm and lightning, so it's very dangerous to drive on these roads, and they're going through a forest. The car skids and crashes. The father dies on the scene, the son is quite badly injured, and another car driving past calls the police and an ambulance. The two of them are taken to the hospital. The kid is injured, so he's taken to the operating theatre in the emergency. And the surgeon walks in and is horrified upon seeing the child and says, "Oh my God, that's my son." Now, this is the end of the story. You may have different views and different unconscious biases, but most people who hear this story have various thoughts going through their head, and I will let you think what you believe happened in this story. You can pause the video for a second and have a think about it, and then I'll carry on. Okay, I will tell you what I thought. I thought in the first instance that it was two fathers, as in a gay couple, with their child, and one of them died in a crash and the other one was working in the hospital and came and saw the child. The second thought that came to my head was maybe the child was adopted. I used to be an orthopedic surgeon, worked in medicine and surgery. There were plenty of female surgeons. The first thought that came to my head was that the surgeon is male. This shows unconscious bias. We are programmed to believe in a certain way. If you thought differently, great. If you thought the surgeon was a woman and it was the husband who died and the child was brought in, wonderful. But all I'm trying to highlight with this example is that we have all these things laid out by the society that make us believe in a certain way, which may or may not be true. We as a nation, we went around the world and conquered various countries. Doesn't matter how others perceive us, because 90% of the time I'm certain that our intentions were good, and I hope our intentions were good. Yes, we may have benefited from some of those conquests, but at the same time we created a legal system and infrastructure and so many things, an international language that the whole world uses, and we are very open and tolerant. So we invite people to come and live here. We want to improve the world. It's one of those things we have done for centuries. But the main thing is to lead by example. If you're doing something terrible or something naughty, then you don't really have any right to criticize others. So yes, when the immigrants say that, oh, the natives are doing this as well, and we say, well, the natives are just natives. Really? No, we shouldn't be doing it. But anyway, explain yourself rather than criticize, because a lot of the times people coming from different cultures and backgrounds don't know. They have different values in different ways. For example, in most of the European countries, if you want someone to do something, for example, you'll just say, bring me some water. In England, that would be considered rude because you say, would you mind bringing me a glass of water, please? That is how we say it. But if it's translated from one of the other languages, they're very direct. We would class that as being rude. For them, that's normal. So instead of criticizing, explain, because that will change their mind. They'll be more receptive, they'll listen to you. When we're harsh and critical towards others, they shut down, they stop listening. In the back of their mind, they're finding ways of rebuttaling your statement. We are all different in so many ways, but we're all the same. We all feel love, pain, emotions in the same way. By making critical remarks and being harsh with people, we're not really making ourselves look better. We're not coming across as superior. We're just hurting people. And in the long run, it doesn't help anyone. These are a few points that I wanted to raise before I go into a bit more meaty stuff. So we have this desire, this disease in our society, and I think it's more prevalent in the UK than any other country I've been to. I've been to about 25 different countries and extensively travelled. So the main thing is we want to give everyone freedom. We want everyone to be able to be a free thinker and all that, which is great on paper, but in reality you don't give complete freedom to children, because you know they need to study, they need to go through certain steps before they can be given the freedom to go and stand on their own feet and do certain things. So same way when you have immigrants coming from different countries, we need to handhold them to a certain point until they're ready to be left to their own devices. By allowing them to come here and create their own communities, obviously it appears nice, but you have to be cruel to be kind, because if you allow them to create these communities, they feel comfortable, they feel settled. They've taken their home from one country and transported into another country, and that's where things go wrong, because they create ghettos and they get segregated. There should be some laws that force people to be evenly distributed around the country, because by putting them in certain areas, it's our fault. We have prevented assimilation. Try not to stereotype people before getting to know them, and I know it's very hard because subconsciously we're all brainwashed and we're trained to take samples of information from around us and then create our views, but a lot of the times when you get to know an individual, doesn't matter how scary and different they look, once you get to know them, you realize we're all human beings and we're all the same. We all have the same emotions and feelings. We all want to be loved. We want to be friends. We're social animals. So give people a chance. Another thing that's very prevalent in our society is this sense of superiority that I find quite annoying from time to time. Come across so many people who have this. Listen to other people's stories and who they are and how they got to where they are and just their history. Don't assume you're better than them and don't tell them how it should be. Give them options, tell them stories rather than saying you're wrong. As soon as you tell someone they're wrong, as soon as you start with something negative, people switch off and shut down, and then they start, while you're speaking, instead of listening to you, they're focusing on how they can counter your argument. Perception is everything. People listen to you, they look at you, they judge you, and if they think you're worthy, they will follow you. So it's very important, as a native in your country, you be the best native person you could be and lead by example. Make yourself that person that people follow and look up to and say, I'm going to do what this person did. So if you're critical to someone and you say something harsh, all they'll take away from it is criticism, disrespect. They'll be hurt by it, and they will tell others. That will just leave a bad impression of you. If you do a good deed, that is passed on and it's kind of spreads in the society. For example, if you smile at some random stranger, they might be surprised, but they'll also feel good internally. They might do that to someone else, and that could just easily spread. Whereas if you're nasty to someone, you ruin their day, they will feel miserable inside and they'll do the same. So it kind of exponentially spreads whatever we do. I'll give you another example of something that I do from time to time, and I did in one situation where I hope I made an impact. I said this in one of my previous videos. I was walking to work one morning and I saw these two guys standing at a bus stop drinking Red Bull, and as I was approaching, I saw them finish their drinks and they just tossed the cans onto the grass. There were quite a few other people at the bus stop who I could tell by their clothes and their bags that they were the indigenous population, the natives. They were not all white, they were white, black and other races, but they were all British. These two individuals, because of their clothes and the way they were dressed and the way they were speaking and their skin color and everything, you could tell that they were foreign and they were new to the country. If I'd gone up to them and said, guys, this is not how we do it here, can you please pick this up, and the bin is over there, can you put this in the bin? There could have been a number of outcomes. They could have picked them up and put them in the bin. They could have been rude to me and told me to fuck off, or they could have punched me or just ignored me. I don't know. There's so many outcomes, none of which would have had the desired impact because they would have felt insulted. So what I did was I went up, didn't look at them, didn't make eye contact, did not acknowledge their existence. I just picked up those cans, walked up to the bin and put them in the bin. The people at the bus stop smiled at me, but none of them did that themselves. They were closer to this whole scene happening and I was walking towards them from a distance. So by doing this, I didn't insult them, but I showed them that this is how we do it in this country. I'm sure they will remember in future, and if they don't, maybe they'll tell someone the story and it will spread. Finally, I will say respect has to be earned. You can't command respect. If you look back at our lives from when we were at school, we always loved our teachers who were really kind and nice to us. We never really liked teachers who were harsh and cruel and rude to us. We forgot their existence. So think about yourself in that context. If you're behaving badly with the immigrants, you're the bad teacher that they'll forget about. But if you're nice and kind to them, they'll remember you and you'll build good relationships. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, we're moving into a very globalized international world where all kinds of differences are kind of fading away slowly. So it doesn't matter where we live, which country we're in, we're going to encounter different cultures, different races, different issues. So if you are open to change, your lives will become better, their lives will become better, and the whole society will become a better place. So be British, be kind, and keep calm and carry on, as they say. Don't like that statement, but it just sounded like I had to say it here. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this was of some use. I'm happy to answer questions and make more follow-up videos if you think I haven't addressed or tackled some of these issues. It's such a broad topic. I could just talk forever and bore you. Thanks.